On your call, Madam President.
Yes, begin. I'm sorry.
Trenton City Council meeting, March 4th, 2025 is now called to order. Please stand and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can't stay here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. This agenda is complete to the extent known and was sent to the Trenton Times and Trentonian newspapers, posted on the first floor bulletin board in City Hall, filed with the City Clerk's office, and posted on the City of Trenton website. Formal action will be taken. Roll call. Vice President Edwards.
Present.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
President, and also Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg asked that you have to take her off of mute, please.
Certainly. One moment, please.
Thank you.
And Councilwoman, yes? Okay. Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Present.
Thank you. Councilwoman Frisbee.
Present.
Councilman Harrison. Okay. Councilwoman Williams.
Present y presente.
Council President Gonzalez.
Presente.
Myself, Brandon Garcia, Municipal Clerk, present. Mr. Edward Kaloji, Legislative Counsel. And Mr. Wesley Bridges, City Attorney. Thank you. And Madam President, if you'd like, I will attempt to recite an invocation.
Okay, you sure? Not Councilwoman Feliciano would do a quick prayer.
I will defer to Councilwoman Feliciano at this time.
Thanks. Thank you, Council President. Lord, we thank you for this day and we thank you for the time. We ask that you guide us through the deliberations. Bless the council, bless the community, bless us all. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. And Madam President, at this time, I believe we have a presentation of the mayor's remarks for advice and consent for Carlos Diego Minacapelli,
Yeah.
Interim Director of Health and Human Services, of the Health and Human Services Department.
Yes. Really quick, Mr. Garcia, you did the statement, right?
I'm sorry?
Did you do the statement?
I did.
Okay, I missed it.
Yes.
Thank you. Good evening,
Sir.
Mayor.
Good evening. Good evening, Council, distinguished members, and Council President, and the new mom, Jenna Figueroa Kettenberg. Congratulations on your child. I'm here tonight to ask for your consent for Dr. Carlos Diego Minacapelli as permanent director of the Health and Human Services. Dr. Minacapelli has an extensive background in research and biology of cancers through a postdoctorate fellowship at Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson Medical School and a completed advanced training in clinical research at Harvard Medical School. Since day one, Dr. Minacapelli has taken decisive action as interim director, and he took an immediate assessment of all the divisions within the department and bringing structure and direction to ensure that critical services for Trenton residents remain uninterrupted. Among them, he took stock of upgrading the workspaces, acquiring vehicles for inspectors and nurses, updating computer systems and software, and providing staff with necessary equipment to ensure a professional and well-equipped workforce. Dr. Minacapelli has been involved in the ESG program, which is Emergency Solutions Grant, has provided vital services to 2,114 residents, including street outreach, rapid housing, and emergency shelter assistance. As you know, we've had a number of emergencies in the city, And it's through his department and under leadership of Dr. Minicapelli and Ruth Carter, I see she's in here, has helped many people seek emergency shelter services. He's also in charge of the continuity of care system. His team has assisted 306 individuals, leveraging about $1.6 million in federal funds to provide critical housing and support services. At the Trenton Animal Shelter, Dr. Minicapelli and his team have recognized the management structure, has reorganized the management structure, and now is produced 24/7 surveillance at the animal shelter to help improve oversight, especially during intake crisis. On the good news, in the last 2 months alone, approximately 77 dogs have entered the system, while approximately 110 dogs were adopted, transferred to rescues, or reclaimed by their owners. These are numbers that have never been seen before, and his commitment should be lauded to the public education, responsible pet ownership, and help stabilize the city's dog population. He's also in charge of the CDBG projects, Community Development Block Grants, and he has worked diligently to stabilize the program and move key initiatives forward. Major street repaving projects that have been funded through CDBG, and also demolitions have also advanced, also receiving CDBG funding. The Reading Senior Center rehabilitation is now in the bidding phase, so we're excited about that project. And upcoming projects include the improvements to the South Ward Senior Center and the Skelton Library. I know Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg has been diligent about getting the South Ward Senior Center and the Skelton Library back online, and Dr. Minicapelli is working diligently to have that effectuated. He's also working with the fire department to update equipment utilizing CDBG funding. So the Department of Health is moving forward, and under Dr. Minicapelli's leadership, we'll continue to expand, innovate, and serve the residents of Trenton with excellence. If anyone has any questions, be more than happy to answer them.
Are there any council members who would like to ask questions?
The
I
council.
was going to say Councilwoman Frisbee and then Councilman Williams.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mayor, for being here. I don't have any questions at all. I just really wanted to say that I am thankful for this day. I have been in anticipation of Director Dr. Minicapelli coming before us. I think he's done exceptional work in our community. The funds that he has done, the outreach that he has provided to our clinic. I have had the luxury of being a recipient, my dog, with it, and then spreading that out into the community, seeing how he goes to the clinics, how he goes out to the various areas to not just, he doesn't sit behind the desk. He's out there in the community and he's actually doing the work to find out where the need is. So I just wanted to say thank you for all that he has done. I think you're making an excellent selection on this evening. The animal shelter is better for him being here. So I'm in anticipation and excited to vote yes on the appointment of him. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Council President. So, Mayor, I want to just echo, I think the director's done a very, very good job being out there in the community, answering questions, trying to simply tell the public and us what's actually going on without, bringing in some medical jargon that makes things, sometimes confusing. And also post-COVID, trying to make sure our messaging when we disseminate to our constituents is appropriate and right. But I do have just a question as far as goals for the future. I mean, I know we all are committed to getting a new animal shelter. Certainly, we want Columbus to be brought online, and it looks like we're just a few months away from that happening. But are there any specific goals that you've set for the director to come over the next, say, year now that he's been in this role for a few months now?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate to ask him that question, but I get a stab at it. We are currently housing dogs in a shelter that's long out of use, and we're hoping to expand the shelter here in Trenton. It's been a challenge because of property and to find a location, and I've had a number of challenges in that regard. We have an overflow shelter and a kennel in Bucks County. We don't think that that's wise or cost effective. It's his goal to phase that out. And when we do expand the shelter, the reason why we got the Columbus shelter was to have a displacement place that we can keep animals while we're either expanding the shelter in its current location or expanding services. So it's a good thing that we have that Columbus facility. Right now, we're doing the finishing renovations. We hope to have that open within the next couple of months, but that will be critical in our ability to be able to close down this shelter temporarily, the animal shelter on Escher Street, so that we could either expand it there or take some other options of creating a new animal shelter for Trenton.
Okay. And just my only other question, outside of for the director, would be, I think he's done a great job also. I'm very appreciative of the physical improvements that you're making to the health building for the workers there, et cetera. And are there any additional improvements coming up, HVAC or any other systems that you foresee on the horizon?
That again is a question for Dr. Minicapelli, but
I didn't mean to stump you, Mayor.
But he went over to the health clinic, as you may have visited. It's in your ward, and it's wholly inadequate and needs new equipment, needs new furnishings, and he's in the process of doing that.
Well, thank you very much, and I will also be voting yes.
Council President?
Yes, I was gonna okay, go ahead, Councilwoman Figueroa Camper. It was all right.
Okay, thank you. I mean, somebody was in front of me, they can speak.
It's okay. She said
Okay.
you go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mayor. My questions are more for Director Minicapelli, but I don't know if you can answer them or not, but just the ongoing concerns regarding the shelter that I just would like to put on the record of asking the question tonight ahead of making him permanent ahead of this vote. There's still been a lot of much influx of issues with after-hour calls coming into the shelter and there being no answer. There has been an influx of people not being invited at the shelter when they want to come and look or browse to see what animals they might be interested in adopting. There has been an influx of issues with Hilo not, cooperating with the shelter or just not catering to animals that are, sickly or being abused that, need to be pulled from homes when the community is making reports. And I also would like to know where Dr. Minicapelli is with the breeding ordinance and enforcement of it in regards to spaying and neutering and cracking down on a lot of this breeding in the city to kind of breach the deficit that we have with our, with such influx of animals in the shelter. But I also want to praise the works of the shelter as well as the many volunteers who have worked so tirelessly to get these animals off the kill list the last 2 times around. And I really want to applaud all the efforts that have gone into that.
Yeah, I think he's been very proactive on that, and it's a continuing consternation with all of us, and it's a matter of resources. First of all, Hilo officers are in the Department of Police, and he is working as best he can to coordinate their role in animal control enforcement. It's also a highly stressful job. If you ever had, and I see a lot of the animal control folks are here themselves, and they'll be able to tell you that it's a stressful job, and it's something that they're dedicated to, but they do with what the resources they have. It does not help when well-intentioned people make their job difficult, and I don't even have to get into that. but they're doing the best they can, and I think they're all working as a team together to make things better. I would actually suggest that council form a subcommittee because that's probably one of the most questions that people contact us about. But the city has to decide based on priorities. We have people needs, and we don't have the resources for that, to completely take care of all the things we need to do. But we do the best we can at the animal shelter. I believe things are moving forward. As I stated before, more dogs are going out than coming in, and that's unprecedented. And regarding cats, we don't have any cats in the shelter. We have a organization we work with, TrentonCats.org, and they're doing a spectacular job of working with the animal control folks to make sure that the cats are taken care of. And so that's it. But regarding the breeding ordinance, that takes enforcement, and also it's complicated. You can't just knock on somebody's door and say, are you breeding? And when they say no, then I want to come in and I want to look in your basement. It's really difficult to do enforcement. They try the best they can. They do follow up on tips, but it takes a lot of skill and perseverance to enforce one place that's overbreeding dogs. And we accept tips and we follow up on them. I know people get a little impatient that we're not working 24/7 on one tip, but we just don't have the resources to do that.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I mean, I know that if we have to go back to the drawing board to make things less complicated or to make it make sense with regard to the breeding ordinance, I do think that that can definitely help in cracking down on the number of animals that do go into the shelter, which I think it's really just tackling the issue from where it starts. So I'm definitely welcoming that. If Dr. Minicapelli wants to do that, I know the last time that we did that, I thought that we had some type of resolution to how we were going to operate with that breeding ordinance, but I wanted to make sense for everybody across the board. And finally, where are we at with the Animal Advisory Board? I know some people had interviews. Where are we at and what does that look like?
I think that's a question appropriate for Dr. Minicapelli. I don't mean to brush it off. It's just that he is working with that, and I know they had interviews, but I think that's a question for him. Sorry.
Oh, thank you. No worries. Thank you.
Are you done?
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you, Council President. So good evening, Mayor. Thank you for joining us tonight. Councilwoman Figueroa, Kattenberg, and Williams actually asked several of the questions that I had. But what did pique my interest in addition to that was when you were saying that maybe council should form a subcommittee, but you'll have the advisory board already from your standpoint.
Yeah, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I think you know well that a lot of your emails that you get are related to the animal shelter.
Right.
And yes, there is an advisory board and they advise the administration, but I think it would be helpful for even council either to have one session on the animal shelter. That'd probably be most helpful for you to gain the information that you need. But it's just trying to cover all the bases.
Right. Okay. Because I was even thinking maybe a council liaison to that board.
That would be
right.
fantastic.
That would be good rather than forming another piece of that.
Yep.
We just have a council liaison to that advisory board.
You're right. I agree with you.
Thank you. So to that end, I just wanted to say, so I'll echo some of the sentiments of Councilwoman Frisbee, and then I'll be done. Dr. Minicapelli came in during a trying time, picked up the reins, and went with the hand that he was dealt. considering everything that's been happening with the shelter, everything that's been happening in the city with health and everything overall, I think he's done a good job in picking up the pieces and trying to put things together and working with everybody to make things happen. I can speak from the standpoint of him even communicating with the high school. We're bringing him and his team in to actually talk to our students and everything to give them a realistic look about, you know, what they do here and opportunities that they could have. So we're excited for that to happen as well. Nothing is going to be fixed overnight, and we understand that, but we are looking forward to him continuing to push the charge forward and getting the work done. I've personally seen him at work and asking the questions and challenging the employees and making sure that he gets down to the bottom of it and holding people accountable. And that is very important. And he takes this position very seriously. And I can appreciate that. So I'm hopeful that as we move along, yes, we do need a resolve to the shelter. Yes, we do need to get these animals out of Pennsylvania. Yes, we do need Columbus to be resolved. Yes, there are still things that we need to be done. But I think that under his leadership, we're moving better in the direction that we need to be going in. So thank you. I look forward to voting yes for him tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Feliciano. Councilman Harrison?
I'll be short, Mayor. I just want to say that he has been a blessing in the community. They've having these outreach where they're giving food to the cats and dogs in the community. He's always got a smile on his face. So like I said, he's working hard. We're trying to get the city moving forward. He's doing a great job. I'll definitely be voting for him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. So I also just want to echo some of the sentiments my colleague said, and also I know the question was asked about goals, and if we could get the animal shelter, as we all know, we discussed previously, that's the main goal, hopefully within this year or this year, to make that happen. But I also wanted to offer the opportunity for Mr. Diego, if he wanted to come up and possibly say a few words or maybe even answer some of the questions that were not answered. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I'll leave it in better hands than I could.
Good evening, Madam President, Madam Vice President, Council. Diego Minacapelli, Interim Director of Health and Human Services. Any questions that you may have?
I believe the question was on the advisory board that wasn't able to answer, like as far as where we were. I think that came from Councilwoman Jen
Yes.
Figueroa-Kettenberg.
Yes, advisory board, we selected a few candidates. We went through the first interview. Then we selected from that cohort, we selected a second set of people for a secondary interview. And that happened on Friday. So I still have 2 candidates to go to the secondary interview, and then I can make my recommendation to the mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williams had something to ask also.
Thank you. Yeah, I just have a couple questions I'll remind. Actually, one quick question regarding the Welfare Board or Advisory Council. How many members will there be at this point?
According to the executive order, there are five members.
Thank you.
But I would like to have additional members as alternates.
Okay. That sounds like a fair idea. Thank you. So just my couple questions were regarding goals for the next year. I know we've talked a lot about animal welfare, and that's certainly important. But as far as other goals you maybe have for the department, I know one challenge that keeps coming in the media is with the H1N1 coming up. Not that is a pandemic or anything, but as far as like other goals and responsibilities, what do you see the next year looking like if and when you're confirmed tonight?
Thank you for asking that. The Department of Health and Human Services has 11 units. The Department of Health is not just about the animal shelter, but thank you for saying that. I just want to bring it up a little bit. You asked about HVACs and what we're doing to the clinic. So we are going to replace the HVAC systems, flooring, and a few other things for the clinic. The clinic has to work as a clinic. We're working our team. The health promotion teams are here in order to enhance our services, particularly for things like that. vaccination and primary care, things like that. So the hope is that in the next year, we can bring the services back to the clinic. And maybe through partnerships, we can reach out to more residents of the city.
And then just the other question was regarding, just to follow up with goals. Are there any goals as far as outreach into the community and anything you'd like to see over the next year too?
Absolutely. That is part of the health promotions teams that we have. And so we're creating this outreach program that we can start in the summer and then throughout the fall regarding different diseases. Lead is very important. And of course, diseases that are more prevalent within time. So yes.
All right, that's my last question. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Council President.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettner.
Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Minicapelli. One quick question with regards to the Animal Advisory Board. Jumping off of Councilwoman Williams' points, what is the goal of this board? What are these members? What are you looking to achieve from these members, and what input are we hoping to get from them and take and apply?
They will help me with the ordinances that you already implemented. Some of them need revision. Also outreach to the community. They will have no operational say of the shelter, just on the policies and ordinances.
Okay. And how often is this advisory board to meet?
They should meet quarterly, but because of the pressing issues with the animal shelter, we should start probably bi-weekly.
And just curious, were there any restrictions on who was able to apply for this board?
There were no restrictions, but City of Trenton residents have a priority.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Madam President. Thank you, Ms. Diego, Director. Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
Madam President, one more thing.
Council Vice President. My apologies.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions regarding some of the issues going around the city. So Trenton has high rates of poverty, homelessness, and food insecurity. What is your strategy for addressing these critical social determinants of health?
So, as you know, Councilwoman, we have the COC system, the Continuum of Care system. We partner with a lot of different organizations to reach out to the community and make sure that we bring services to the community when it comes to homelessness, poverty, everything. Rehousing people, making sure that families and single individuals are able to find a home. Mental health. It is a system that we can help our residents. So we do it through the COC system, through the Department of Health and Human Services. Then we have ESG, the Emergency Solutions Grant. That grant, through the city, we partner with organizations in order to reach all of our residents in order to help them out further. So the goal that we can set for the next year is reaching to other organizations to expand our reach within the city.
Oh, thank you, because that was one of my next questions was how do you plan to strengthen partnerships with hospitals, nonprofits, and community organizations to enhance services?
Yes.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
What specific steps will you take to increase access to mental health services in our community?
So we have, it is the Department of Health and Human Services, and we have here the Director of Human Services, Ruth Carter. What we're doing with Ms. Ruth Carter, it is increasing the capacity of healthcare workers, social workers, so we can reach out to more residents of our community. But of course, we're limited with our budgets, but that will be ideal.
Thank you. And my last question, I promise. the lead, how do you plan to address the lead testing and treatment and high levels that we're seeing in the city? What is your plan to do that?
We already have a plan, and that plan has been going on since before I got here. I'm just continuing the plan and make sure that I enhance it. That it is through the health promotions unit, which are here. And what we did, as soon as I got into the position, we started doing outreach to the community, making sure that we went to different parts of Trenton in order to disseminate the information, making sure that we reach out to the community and tell those moms, those dads, to make sure that the children are being tested. They themselves, they should be tested. And we should continue that. That is part of the plan that we're going to start now in the spring, summer, and the fall, to make sure that we have those events that we can reach out to the community. That is very important. Lead is very dangerous in a developing child. So
Yes, and I should have said, and what type of success have you been seeing with the plan that has been implemented already?
well, with those events, my first event, we tested 10. In the next one, we tested 50. In the next one, we tested 100. So it is increasing. That is the success that I'm seeing. The more we reach out, the more we are getting to people.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Bro,
Thank you. Mr. Diego, really quickly, because it just came to my mind, because of the uncertainty with everything that's going on as far as possibly not getting as much funding from, with the new administration that we have, do we have a plan in place if we don't get as much money for the ESG grants or the ESG funds? If not.
That will be the administration
Okay, all right.
answer, but definitely, we always have a
Have a
plan
backup.
B, and so far, we have not heard anything.
Yeah, I know. I just want to put that out so we can have a plan in place in the event of, because we don't know what happens every day as we wake up. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. But I just want to say that all of the success that I had is because of our teams, your workers for the city, and they are here, and I want you to thank them.
Yes.
Health promotions is here. Vital statistics is here. The nurses, right? Communicable diseases, the nurse for the C Center, the C Center staff are here. The animal shelter staff is here. The office of the director, they are here. And I'm forgetting somebody? No. And of course, the administrator for the COC and the lead person for the ESG grants. They're all here, so you should thank them. Without them, I'm nothing. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.
So council or Mr. Garcia, we can move, get a motion to vote on resolution 25-078.
So
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second? Noted. Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes,
Beautiful. Motion carried.
thank you.
Congratulations, Director. And on your call, Madam President.
We may proceed.
Certainly. Madam President, at this time, we've reached the point of public comment for agenda items only. That's for agenda items only. And I'll call a last call for public comment for agenda items only once again. Public comment will be, Madam President, at this time, we do not have anybody listed for public comment for agenda items only. So with that being said, if you'd like to move on, we can move to approval of the minutes for January 2nd, 2025, January 7th, 2025, and January 28th, 2025. And Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May I have a motion? Really quick though, Mr. Garcia, on mine, I don't have it listed as January 28th. I know you sent it, but
Yes.
I don't have it listed on here, just FYI. I don't know.
Okay, on your copy, you wouldn't, we did distribute, you may have another copy on your desk there.
And
And on that one, it's been updated.
that's, okay. I don't have it listed. All right, may I have a motion to approve, the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, who was that moved by?
Frisbee.
Thank you. And that was second by Harrison, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, sir. Roll call. Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. And Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve communications, petitions, and reports.
A motion to approve communications, petitions, and reports?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving on to ordinances for second reading and public hearing. Ordinance 25-007, an ordinance amending the code of the city of Trenton, chapter 113, food handling, article 1, retail food establishment code, 113-4 fees, section 113-4 fees. Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams. Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-008, ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property commonly known as 196 Pennington Avenue and identified on the city tax map, block 6705, lot 4, pursuant to NJSA 40A 12-13C to Charles C. Lewis for the sale price of $5,000.
May we-
Are there any members of the public that wish to speak to this ordinance at this time? Seeing none, Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Absolutely. Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And Madam President, we've reached the point of resolutions. It is my understanding that there are 2 walk-on resolutions that we received today. And if you'd like, I can read those titles now or at the end of any possible questions.
You can read them in now, please.
Certainly. We've marked these 24-84 and 85. I'll start with 84, resolution authorizing the city of Trenton to exercise the option to extend the shared services agreement entered with the County of Mercer pursuant to Resolution 24-428 to provide public health services and ensure public health practice standards of performance for local board of health in New Jersey. Number 85 is resolution authorizing the execution of a shared services agreement between the City of Trenton and the Mercer County Improvement Authority, MCIA, for work at the Eagle Tavern. And Madam President, are there any items, any resolutions that you or the council wish to ask questions and discuss at this time? Or would you like to go about creating a potential consent agenda?
Madam President.
Or to extract, I
Madam
Are
apologize.
there any council members? So Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you. I have questions on 2485, the walk-on. I don't have 25080. It wasn't in my packet.
Resolution, okay.
And that's it
So I'm put you
for
here.
me.
Councilwoman
080.
Frisbee.
Yes, if, 25082,
Hold on,
25081. And that's it.
Council Vice President. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no question. Your light's on as well. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. 25030, 25075, 25076, and then also 25082 and 083.
082
And 083, yes, ma'am.
and 083.
Related.
All righty. So can we start with Councilwoman Williams for 25?
I'm sorry, Madam President. I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt. Appears Councilwoman
Oh,
Figueroa
my
Kettenberg
apologies. I'm
has some
sorry.
questions.
That's okay, just 25005, please.
005. Yep, got it. That's an ordinance, but okay.
Oh, okay. I apologize, never mind. No resolutions.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
You ready, Mr. Garcia? Can I keep going?
Certainly.
So the first one, Councilwoman Williams for 25-030.
Yes, ma'am. So I just don't necessarily have a question, just want to make a statement. So with this one, I did not initially get any type of an answer to my question regarding potential conflicts of interest with the UEZ program, particularly with the vendor that would be hired. But I did get an answer today, finally, from Mr. Eric Wayar, who handles the UEZ program, or Maywar rather, as well as I did have a very brief conversation with Mr. Bridges, the law director. So I am satisfied by their answers that there would not be a conflict of interest to be concerned with. So I would like to see this on consent. I'm fine with that, ma'am.
Consent, thank you. Councilwoman Williams, as far as the appointing of Mr. Mark Matson.
Yes, I was curious if he is here tonight.
Yeah, I don't think he came in because we were waiting for him to walk in, so he's not present.
So I would like to suggest that we remove him from consideration.
I would like to suggest, can we motion that right now? Just take it off?
Is that a motion to pull the resolution?
To pull it
Understood.
permanently.
I have a motion to pull 25-075.
Second.
Who's the motion?
That she motioned, Frisbee.
Thank you. And the second?
So that was motion
Gonzalez.
by Williams, Frisbee, second.
Williams, thank you. Roll call. Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Just to be clear, we're removing him from consideration. We're pulling, he's done.
Correct, yes.
Yes.
noted. Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes?
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes,
Motion carried.
thank you. And just for the record, he has been invited several times, so that's the reason why. Councilwoman Williams, 25-076.
Thank you, ma'am. So my question just has to do with more for dissemination for the public, because this, I don't know how unusual this is in overall municipal government, but at least in my experience here, this is unusual for us. So if you could just explain the situation with the back pay for this officer as much as you can, ma'am.
Yes, actually, I would prefer to defer to the law director, 076, about the payment for the officer Drew Inman.
This was an officer who was brought up on charges by the lovely Department of Justice, U.S. attorneys. He was indicted for violating folks' rights with respect to excessive force. The decision was made by the prior law director not to afford them with a city attorney. Under the statute, it's very clear that if a public employee is brought up on charges and the employer does not afford them with an attorney, if that employee is ultimately successful in their defenses of those charges, the municipality employer, in this instance, the city, is obligated to pay that individual not only his attorney's fees, but back payment, back contribution. In this instance, just being very candid, this officer, the charges against him were questionable at best, and that was questioned when the charges were even brought. Not only did was this officer successful in being exonerated by a jury once, but then was exonerated a second time by a federal jury of his peers. In addition to that, the federal district judge gave a very scathing opinion of the actions of not only the agent that investigated this, but also how it was prosecuted. And the jury essentially let him off on all the charges but one. The judge, in that opinion, dismissed that count as well. And this officer was returned to work. And our review of it, in conjunction with Business Administrator Maria Richardson and the police director, we obviously looked at the statute and wanted to comply with it. And that's the payment to make this officer whole, who is back on the job, and all indications are performing properly. Just by way of background for this council's consideration, there was another officer who had parallel charges. That officer was also found innocent by a jury of his peers. However, that officer, we're not coming before this council for that officer's back pay because and contributions, because that officer was ultimately relieved of duty for separate administrative charges. So this is essentially us complying with the statute that requires us to pay for making this officer whole, having now gotten off of not one but two jury trials and really being exonerated by a federal district judge who said that the prosecutorial unit was almost engaged in prosecutorial misconduct. So that's the reason why we're here today, to make this officer whole and keep it pushing.
Thank you. So clearly we're legally required.
Absolutely legally required. There's no negotiation with this. If we were not to do this, they would sue us citing that statute and we would not be successful. And ultimately, in this instance, it's the right thing to do for this officer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Consent? Thank you. And I believe the next one is Councilwoman Frisbee with 25-082.
Thank you, Council President. So this is actually, this 25082, which is partnering with 25-083. I'm just curious as to why it was denied, and why we are accepting the one that was there. What was the difference in that 25082, 25-083?
Good evening, Maria Richardson, Business Administrator. One of the resolutions, we are rejecting the bids that we received because I needed a little bit more than other elements to consider aside from the price to be able to pick the right firm to provide training for the police officers. So we received 5 or 6 bids, we are rejecting them. And then the following resolution, it's basically allowing us to use competitive contracting to select, to procure the services. By using competitive contracting, we would be able to engage with a firm based not only in price, but also in experience and other elements that we would like to score, but also would allow us time. We know that we are not going to be able to assess needs for training and implement training within a year. right? So we are using competitive contracting because it will allow us to use up to 5 years, and we could have a contract for 2 years and then 3 options to extend as we need it.
Thank you. And so does that mean that we get to now give them what we want, or do they come in with a package, and is that package conform, does it fit for our police department, or is there a package that they give that we have to fit ourselves into?
No, what this resolution is doing is giving me the authority to use competitive contract, because competitive contract is not, we should be procuring most of our services using a bid, right? If we are trying to hire individuals that need a license to perform those services, then we will be procuring professional services, and that would be an RFP. But professional services, we can only issue contracts for 1 year. No more, not over a year. We need a little bit more. For a competitive contract, we first need a permission of the DCA commissioner in order to even try. And then I need to get the authority from the council to procure as a competitive contract. And so once you adopt this resolution, if you decide to do so, then we will be advertising the services as a competitive contract.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Councilwoman Williams?
Actually, Councilwoman Frisbee did a good job asking the same things I wanted to know.
Okay. So what about for 2583?
That's consent.
That's you're good. So can we put on consent?
Consent, yes.
Thank you. Next, Councilwoman Feliciano, 25-080. You said it wasn't in your packet, right? You saw
Vice President showed me hers. I'm fine. Consent.
consent.
Sorry.
You didn't give me that one. Do you want that? We can add it. Councilwoman Frisbee on 25-79.
So, Madam President, thank you, President. This is really not a question, but for clarification for the public. I just want to make sure that the public knows that this resolution is not pertaining to our current municipal clerk. I would just want to make, because it is back saying from 2021 that this is not pertaining to. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong one, not Dixie. I was thinking of the on the other one. That's not it. I apologize.
You're up for
yes.
81. So
Yes,
79
81.
is good?
Yes, ma'am.
So 79 will be consent. So you did have a question on 25-081.
Yes, 081. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I had the two mixed up, so I have no question on that. I'm good.
So
Thank you,
we're good
sir.
with that consent.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Garcia, looks like we have a consent.
Council President.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
I'm sorry, yes, question.
Yeah, I had a question on, remember the walk on the 20
Oh, yes,
For-
right, sorry.
dash 85. That's okay.
85.
Thank you.
Let me add these down here, sir.
Thank you. This is about the Eagle Tavern. Good evening.
Good evening, Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you, B.A. Richardson. Just a couple quick questions. MCIA is going to serve as the property manager, overseeing the operations, right, and ensuring the routine maintenance and everything. When we get on page 2, item number 10, just asking, it says that MCIA is going to provide the following, right? They're going to do the RFP for the operators of the project in the food industry. So they're going to send something out to get someone in who's going to provide the food services in the Eagle Tavern. They're going to control that.
Well, they will put the proposals for looking for interest
Right.
of potential, I would say vendors for the place, but the city really holds the last decision of who we want to have there.
Okay, because number 11 says, and in addition, they're going to vet the potential operators and enter into the agreement with the one that's financially able to carry out the project. So, and then after they, number 12 says, when they have the operator, then they'll enter into negotiations with the city for a management agreement to allow them, MCIA, to manage the building operation, including collecting rent,
That
et
is
cetera.
correct.
So I don't see anything here that says that the city will have any say in any of this. I mean, it says the county is going to, MCIA is going to issue the RFP. They are going to vet the potential operators and enter into the agreement. It doesn't say vet and then present to the city the list, and then they will each talk about who. It doesn't say that the city is the final choice here, that they will make the final choice.
Yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting you. When we do actually the management agreement, that's when we really agree to what we will agree to, right? So I guess that not to repeat the same thing, but the management agreement is what will really dictate who is responsible for what and what agreements, what clauses are we agreeing to. But that will have to be brought up to council again.
Right. Okay, when the management agreement is formed, right?
Yes,
Because
that is
just again, it says here, MCIA will manage the building operation, including collecting rent, blah, blah, blah. So who gets the rent?
Oh, well, if we decide that we want to do that, they collect the rent, but the rent comes to us. And the reason for doing this is because MCIA and the county are already doing that with the golf course and other the places that they actually run. The city really doesn't have the experience doing that.
Right.
And we really don't want to engage in that.
Okay, and then it says here that they'll give us monthly progress reports and
Yes.
invoices. So I think then as long as when the rental or when the proposals go
Management.
out and everything, when you all draw up whatever that agreement looks like, the council will be able to see that as well?
Absolutely.
Okay, so as long
The
as. we
city
can
really
see that.
doesn't have the authority to enter into any agreement without the
Okay.
council's approval agreement of this type.
Okay. All right. That's fine. As long as we get to see that and to make sure that it says what we're looking for it to say.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't have any more questions on this one.
Would that be consent?
Councilwoman Williams.
I just asked two very quick questions. Thank you. Ma'am, as far as ownership, my knowledge through this whole process has been the city of Trenton will retain ownership of the.
Absolutely.
And do you have a time frame for the project and a start date roughly in mind?
Well, right now, we don't even have all the money that we need for the project. So I really don't want to give you a time frame. Right now, what we are trying to do is have all the documentation that EDA is requesting in order to issue the contract to disperse the $3.5 million that we are getting from EDA. So this is part of the documentation that we need to provide. But until we get the money and start moving with the specifications, the prices that we have, Paul, correct me if I am wrong, is close to $4 million, but that was 2 years ago. And so we probably need to go back to the drawing board and determine how much more we really need to bring this project to completion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are we good with consent? Thank you. Thank you, BA to
Thank you.
Richardson.
On your call, Madam President.
We can proceed.
Madam President, if you want to ask for a motion to approve a consent agenda consisting of, and if I'm correct, we don't have any other than the 078 that were extracted from consent agenda, is that correct?
Not 078, 075?
Oh, I'm sorry. 075, you said?
Yes.
Okay. With that in mind,
We should have a consent for 25, 030.
Right, so that's what I'm saying, excluding 078 and 075. No, noted, thank you.
Where do you see 78? 78 was done.
Right.
Oh, right, because we did a roll call. Yes, you're right. My apologies.
Okay. It was
We pulled.
pulled, period, yes. So we have at this time, I would have a potential consent agenda list consisting of 25-030, 25076, 25077, 25082, 083, 079, 081, 080, 080, 081, 084, and 085.
Yes, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee, Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And Madam President, moving on to ordinances for first reading and introduction. Ordinance 25-005, an ordinance establishing the appointment, duties, responsibilities, and functions of city council member liaisons to certain boards and commissions of the city of Trenton.
May we have a motion?
And yes, Madam President, if you want to have the motion to approve.
So move.
Second, no second.
If there's no discussion, I'll call the roll.
Councilwoman.
President, yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Berg has something.
Yes, so in review of this ordinance, we had a discussion at the last council meeting, and some things that were asked to be omitted or changed. It does not seem like those things were omitted or changed unless that was not, the decision, and it's my mistake. But I believe certain things like the appointment of liaison positions being a 2-year term, I thought that was, changed. I could be mistaken. But for section 7, compliance and accountability, failure to perform liaison duties, including the submission of reports, may result in reassignment by council president. I thought we asked to omit that as well. It just seems like the same ordinance was resubmitted tonight for approval without any of the discussion points.
Madam President.
Council Vice President.
Thank you. I just wanted to respond. So unfortunately, I did not get the chance to circle back to this and left it on the agenda for open discussion today for amendments on the floor today. So I want to kindly ask again what your amendments were. I do know that you said section 7, number 2, you wanted to extract that one from the ordinance. And were there any other ones that you had an issue with? You mentioned for a 2-year term, did you want to change that one?
Yeah, I thought that should remain a 1-year term.
1-year term. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Those to stand out to me, CVP.
Okay, so Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg, Madam President.
Yes.
Is it okay that, Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg asked for a motion to amend those to reflect the changes? If that's okay with everyone else, it's okay with me. And then we can move on if anyone else has any questions to their amendments.
Are there any others?
Just so that we're like keeping up with it one at a time.
Yeah,
So Councilwoman Williams had something also.
Okay.
Myself. We spent a lot of time on this at the last meeting, and respectfully, I really would like to urge that we table it so it could be gone through and really have everything that was supposed to be fixed last time fixed for anything we're going to vote on. Because I share those concerns, but that my colleague just stated. But having gone through all of this, and that's why, even that night, I think it was suggested at one point to table. I think it would be good so then the sponsor can make sure it goes through, it takes in everyone's concerns, and then we're voting on a clean copy.
Thank you, Councilwoman Williams.
Council President.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you. I still take the standpoint that I had when this was first
introduced and I commented on it then. The boards and commissions, they have chair people that will report out. The minutes and everything are on the city website. If they're not, they should be. I think that the chair people can deliver whatever is necessary to the clerk to have that done. I don't think that we need extra time added on the agenda to report out about a meeting that we would attend as a liaison. I think that if anything, while the council, we go out as liaisons and sit in the meetings and stuff, yes, we are supposed to do these things and, be present if they have questions and the like. I think that if anything, the chairs or whomever should come before the council themselves and tell us things if they want us to know things. I think that we need to hold them more accountable to report to us about what's happening or come forward to the council in that regard. I don't think that, well, and I understand the spirit of it and that's nice, but I don't think that, I don't think that this is necessary at this time.
Madam President,
Council Vice President.
if I may respond, thank you. Is it fair for you as a concession, instead of, to your point, for the chairs to come speak at the meetings, but as a concession to us reporting at the meetings, which is each council member's own prerogative. This is not a mandatory thing, but a suggestion. But as a concession, as our roles as a liaison, would it be fair to ask each member of council that is serving as a liaison to make sure that the chairs of these boards that we are liaisoning to is updating their information on the website, the reports, the minutes, the agendas, the meeting schedules, and things like that? Because a lot of these things are very much lacking on our city's website. So, in terms of like who is overseeing all of these boards, would that fall on the clerk to make sure and contact all of them, or as we as liaisons going to pick up the slack with that?
Madam President,
Councilwoman Feliciano.
that's the clerk's job.
Okay. So then we can strike out section 5. I'm fine with that.
Five or three? You mean 3?
That was section 5.
Section 4? All right.
So the liaison report agenda item. I was
Gotcha. Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I was suggesting that adding on a section for us to report, but
So we're going to strike this.
if that is the consensus of the entire council to strike that, then I have that as removed. Are there any further amendments or any discussions that anyone would like to recommend? Because I would like to, at least try to amend this on the floor so that it doesn't die.
Anyone else?
I think, Madam President,
Councilwoman Feliciano.
I'm sorry. I think in line with that section 5, that under section 4, number 3, the reporting council updates the verbal report during the liaison report section that needs to go.
Noted.
All right, section 4, number 3 is being taken out. Section 5 completely would be taken out. And then also number 2 under section 2.
Under section 7.
Huh?
Section 7, number 2.
Oh, section 7, number 2, hold on.
And then there's also an amendment on section 3, number 3, for a 1-year term.
Right, I got that one, okay. And then 1 year. So we want to make a motion to amend this on the floor.
Madam President.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
I just want to concur with Councilwoman Williams on this. I do feel like we spent an extensive amount of time going through this ordinance on the last meeting. And I think it's in the best interest of all of us to get those notes and to see exactly what was being requested and not, and kind of compare that with tonight's notes. And then if we need to see this through on another night, table it tonight, I think that that is best case scenario at this point. I think that's in all fairness. We went through this with a fine tooth comb. We all put our input into it for it not to, to come before us with none of those responses or changes. I just think that we're doing a disservice at this time. I would want this to be tabled.
Madam President,
Council Vice President.
since there is not a motion on the floor to table as of yet, I would like to motion to amend this. And I just want to say to expound on this, I had a conversation with our city council attorney earlier today in regards to this ordinance, and this is first reading. So this is not something that's going to pass tonight, and we have a chance after, if we do choose to amend this, we do have a few more weeks to go over this. If there's any further discussions that need to be had, I will make phone calls and I will do my due diligence to follow up with everyone to go over any further amendments or discussions, any concerns or suggestions that anyone may have. But this is first reading, so this is not something that's going to pass tonight per se, but move on to a second reading at the next meeting. So I don't see a need for tabling, but I would at least appreciate being allowed to a motion to amend first before tabling.
Madam President?
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you. So when we met the last time at the last meeting, and this was before us, Mr. Clerk,
Yes.
it was first reading at that time, right? It was supposed to be first reading at that time?
It was first reading at that time and then tabled.
Right. So then to that point about that, we read it, we went through all these changes or suggested changes at that time, and then we said, let's table it so that when we came back this time, so I would have thought too that the suggested changes at that time would have been reflected on the document that's in front of us tonight for us to see it, because there was adequate time between between that meeting and this meeting for us to see where it was for us to have proceeded forward. In light of it not, I mean, I agree too that we should have had a clean copy tonight with that for us to be able to work from, so that we can not have to go through this yet again. I do think that we should table it as well. Thank you.
Madam President.
Councilwoman, did you want a response from me, or was that just?
Madam President.
Who,
Okay.
me? Council Vice President. You talking about me, Mr. Garcia?
No, Councilwoman Feliciano.
Oh, shoot.
Did you, was that just a
That a
suggestion, or was that for my
That was a
response?
question to Garcia, not a motion.
Councilwoman?
Thank you. I would like to amend it, and then we can motion to table it for the next meeting. But I would like to amend it so that Mr. Garcia could at least get these notes and get this amended for the next meeting, for this to come back with the corrections that we discussed today.
Okay.
I'm gonna,
Well, Council President,
Yes.
Council Vice President, with all due respect, this should have already been done before it came back this time. I mean, the minutes are the minutes. This is your ordinance. He has it on the record already that it should have been done when we got it.
Right.
I just, and this just goes back to when we were looking at the other ordinance that we worked through the last time. And the comment was made that we had enough time that we could have looked at it to have figured all of this out. You had 2 weeks to do this, to have a clean copy to us. And I understand that life happens and everything, and we all are busy and everything like that. But
I would have expected as well that we would have had a clean copy here in front of us tonight. And so that we could move this forward in the way that it should be. I think that in all fairness, we should table it. It should be a clean copy when it's presented to us, and then we can either vote it up or vote it down.
Yeah. And I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, from what I just heard, Council Vice President say you are willing to, let's make an amendment on the floor and table it to the next meeting.
That's
Did you say
fine,
that
'cause I, Madam President, I assumed that the changes would be made, but that was my error, and I did apologize in my earlier comments that that was an oversight of mine, simple human error, but I did think that it was amended based on the discussions that we had at the last meeting, so this was an oversight of mine, and I again would like to apologize, but I would like to also amend this, and if there is still a decision to table, then that supersedes all else.
Who made the motion to approve?
All right, so we need a motion.
I'm sorry, Madam President. Could I, prior to anybody making an additional motion at this time, I know we had a motion and a second for approval of this ordinance as it was written now. Prior to this, as I understand it, there was a motion to table the originally written ordinance. So from the tabling, I can only imagine that it would come back as it was if there were no amendments that were motioned and agreed upon at the previous meeting.
When was the motion to table that you're mentioning? When was that
Motion to
made?
table, I believe,
February 18th.
there you go,
I'm sorry.
February 18th meeting,
Okay, and it was tabled until when?
until 3/4 day, I imagine.
To this meeting.
Yeah, 3/4,
Okay, so it was tabled to this date.
until this date,
Okay, so it's on this date for introduction. Now,
correct.
there was one motion that was to approve, a
It was-
second, and it was
yes.
discussion, but now, then there was a second motion.
There hasn't been any other
There has-
motion.
To amend,
There's been,
but-
we've been in discussion
Right.
from that motion to approve.
So the motion, there would have to be a motion to rescind the motion to approve and change it to a motion to amend. That would be the first vote.
And then the amendments that have been discussed would then come back.
The third.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the first vote would have to be in response to the motion to amend. It would have to be to rescind the motion to approve
There we go.
and instead a motion to amend as the councilwoman indicated she wanted it amended. So there has to be a vote on whether we're going to
Rescind.
rescind the motion to approve and replace it with the motion to amend.
So that would be the framed motion.
That's the
motion
first,
rescinding
that's the
and
first vote we
amending.
have to
The first
take.
motion, and then we can go to,
Then there will be a second vote on the motion to amend. And then if there is a vote, I don't understand, was there a vote to table as well?
suggestion.
Well, there was proposal to table. We took a motion and a second.
Why don't we do it one at a time? We're really,
Sounds like a plan.
why don't we try? a
Motion
mo-
to rescind first.
A motion to
Right.
rescind
The approval.
the motion to approve
Right.
and convert it to a motion to amend.
So may I have a motion to rescind?
The approval.
Second,
Thank you. Roll call. Vice President Edwards.
yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Just to rescind it, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Now, as I understand it, the motion to amend
To amend
Correct.
the ordinance.
and those amendments being.
I think,
Madam
I don't know if the councilwoman spelled it out. It had to
Yes.
do with the last line.
Madam President, I would like to.
Council Vice President.
Thank you. I would like to motion to amend, Mr. Garcia, Section 3, Line 3, where it says liaison positions shall be for 2-year term. Let's amend that to liaison positions shall be for a 1-year term.
1 year from 2 year, got it?
Under Section 4, number 3, we are going to remove number 3.
Remove number 3, okay.
We're also removing the entire Section 5.
Omit section 5.
And lastly, removing Section 7, number 2.
And remove section 7,
Number 2.
number 2.
You're amending it before it gets voted on.
Is there a second to to those amendments?
Second, what are we doing? Motion? We motioned it already, right?
It was we rescinded the previous motion to approve. We are now amending the ordinance at this time.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
And then after we do this, we still can motion to table, correct?
if it's your choice, yes.
My question, earlier, I heard the word table, but I didn't know, I think it was in conversational that we should table. Was there a formal motion to table?
No.
Well, no.
Okay. Yeah, we
It
had
was a lot
motions
floating
going on.
around back and forth.
Well, the motion that is on the floor right now is a motion to amend the ordinance as indicated by the council vice president. So that's the vote that we just started to take, and we have to finish that vote.
Yes.
With this being the first reading, if it's going to be tabled, then it can be brought back as amended. I'm confused by the.
That's what I'm saying.
Confused by the amending it and then tabling it.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, I'm just
So it has to
suggesting we take
table-
one vote at a time because the votes have to pass. So
Right.
is there a vote to amend, Councilwoman? I know you took her vote. Edwards said yes. I don't know if you took the rest of the roll yet. This is on the motion to amend it.
Yes.
Okay.
So
With all due respect, I think that I'm gonna have to abstain then, if that's the case from this vote.
I guess not.
I don't know why we're voting another motion is gonna come to table this so that it can come back to us amended. I don't understand why we're amending it to table it. That to me makes no sense, along with Director Bridges. So I think that I think it should have been clean when we got it.
No, Councilwoman, I understand that, but right now there's a motion on the floor to amend.
Motion.
And a vote was cast on it, which means the clerk has to finish taking the roll on the motion to amend. And then when we get done with that, we'll go further if we need to.
okay. So, Councilwoman, is that an abstention? Noted. Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
No.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
If we vote on this now, are we going to?
We're voting on the amendment.
it comes back for a second reading.
Amendment.
Amendment. Right.
Yes.
It will come back for.
Comes back for a second.
Oh, yeah.
No, we're gonna,
Does it come back for a second is my question.
First time, House amended, comes back the second time, second.
So it will, so the answer is yes, it will come back as a second time. This is considered first reading.
Yes.
My answer is yes.
Councilman Harrison.
yes.
Councilwoman Williams. Council President Gonzalez.
I'm gonna say yes.
Thank you. I have 4 yeses. That will be a majority. Motion carried.
Okay, so now the original ordinance has been amended. Now we need a vote to introduce the original ordinance as amended.
There we go. To approve it upon introduction as amended, right?
I'm sorry?
Approval upon introduction as amended, correct?
Right. Now we're voting to take the amended ordinance and introduce it tonight. And it would be subject to a second reading and a public hearing at the next meeting, assumedly.
And it would return with the amendments listed.
Correct.
Thank you.
Council President.
Motion,
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. My understanding is that we were going to table this for further review, incorporating all the changes that have been made over the past, next month will be a month. So what it just sounded like to me is we would be introducing it for the first reading and approving it for the first reading. So as is would come back for the second reading. So I would like to suggest that we table this so it comes back for a first reading in a few weeks. Sponsoring councilwoman can review everything, make sure all the notes all from the last meeting, all the work that was put in is incorporated officially. We can also have the chance to do that and make sure everything's incorporated to a clean copy.
Okay, so you made a motion to table, Councilwoman?
I'd like to make a formal motion to table.
Well, a motion to table takes precedence over all other motions, and it's not debatable. So now the clerk will take the roll on whether the introduction of this ordinance should be tabled. If it is, it will be tabled. And did you say until the next meeting, or did you add a?
I'll say, let me play it safe and say I'll table it until minimally the next meeting or for reintroduction at a later date.
Okay. So the first vote is whether it should be tabled. It's non-debatable. It's a vote. If it passes, it will be tabled. If it doesn't pass, we'll come back to it again for approval. So now it's a vote to table, Mr. Clerk.
Got it. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
She had to leave.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Noted Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Item is tabled until the
Next
next
week.
public meeting.
Yes.
So-
18, I think, right?
Council President, if I may just ask a logistical question here, and I'll ask it of my colleague, Mr. Kaloji. So we've amended it on the floor and we've tabled it. What happens if we amend the amended ordinance that we amended on the floor that we tabled, that comes back to us?
Well, the ordinance has been amended.
Right, it's been amended, so what happens when
Right.
it's tabled and it's amended again and it comes back again amended after we just amended it on the floor?
Well, as of right now, without any further amendments, because I don't know if that's going to happen or
There will
not,
be further amendments. What
Okay, well-
happens when there are further amendments?
the ordinance as amended will be on for the next meeting unless there's further amendments.
Director.
I'll leave that to
Bridges,
you,
Thank
sir.
you, Director
Okay.
Bridges. We're following the.
We thank you for that
Council.
clarification. So the matter is tabled until the next public meeting.
Yes.
Moving on from this ordinance to ordinance 25-009. Ordinance approving the application of financial agreement for a long-term tax exemption and authorizing a settlement agreement with Layler Urban Renewal Limited Partnership for Block 18202, Lot 1, on the official tax map of the city of Trenton. Can I have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee, Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Ordinance 25-10, an ordinance approving the application of financial agreement for a long-term tax exemption with Realty Management Trenton Urban Renewal LLC and IOP Pennington Urban Renewal LLC for Block 4201, Lot 1, on the official tax map of the city of Trenton. Madam
Have a
President,
motion?
one ask for a motion to approve.
May we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Second?
Roll call. Vice President Edwards,
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano,
Yes.
Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee. Oh, I apologize. Councilman Harrison,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. And from there, Madam President, I believe we've reached the point of public comment. If I could have the public comment clipboard, please. I will ask for one last call if there is anyone else who wishes to sign up for public comment at this time. To the public comment will be 5 minutes for each individual. You may reference any item that you wish. You can speak about anything that you'd like. The council is not obligated to respond. Our first individual listed for public comment is Waldemar Ronquillo. Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Yeah, my name is Walter Marronquillo, 223 Hutchinson Road, Robbinsville, New Jersey. I'm here on behalf of a business owner, and she doesn't speak English, so I came in to translate, but she brings somebody to translate for her. I like to be. I said,
Very well.
díselo en español y lo va a traducir.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es Esther Funes, 669.
669.
My name is Esther Funes, 669
Chamber Street.
Chamber Street.
Okay. El día de ayer tuvimos un incidente con unos clientes. Nuestros servicios son money transfer y pagos de biles, pero llegó un cliente que quería pagar sus cuentas y dijo que iba a pagar en efectivo, pero después dijo que iba a pagar en tarjeta de crédito. Cuando se le dijo que era un extra fee por el uso de la tarjeta, se molestó y dijo que ya no lo quería pagar, pero él sabía que el bill ya se había hecho efectivo.
We had an incident yesterday with one of our customers came into our store. We do transfers to make payments, and they were asked that they wanted to make the payment in cash, and then they changed it to credit card. When we advised them that there was a surcharge, they refused to make the payment, but it had already been sent, and there was no way for us to delete it.
Cuando se hace la transacción, el sistema siempre pide una identificación. Teníamos en nuestro poder el pasaporte de la persona, pero como no quería pagar, le dijimos que íbamos a llamar a la policía y le entregaríamos el pasaporte a la policía para que la policía nos ayudara a poder recuperar el monto de $900, que era el pago de la transacción. Lamentablemente, cuando llegó la policía, no nos ayudó a nosotros, sino que estuvo a favor de ellos. Hasta les dijo que nos podía demandar por nosotros quedarnos con su pasaporte.
Whenever a payment is made, we require identification. So they had provided a U.S. passport, and when they refused to pay, we held the passport until the police arrived, actually a couple of hours later. And instead of the police assisting us, they were actually working on behalf of, in this case, the criminals. And they even told them that they can sue us. The officer told them that they could sue us for holding the passport.
Pero antes de eso, ellos estuvieron muy agresivos, estuvieron insultando, tirando muchas cosas dentro de la oficina. Y aparte estaban intimidando a nuestros clientes de que eran inmigrantes, que iban a llamar hasta migración, que si nosotros no entregábamos el pasaporte, no nos podía pasar algo saliendo de ahí.
Before the police arrived, they were very aggressive and they were throwing items at us over the counter. They also became very aggressive with our clients, the clients that were there. They were told that they were going to call immigration on them and us, and it was very threatening. So the reason you're here, ¿por qué está aquí?
Estoy aquí porque siento muy injusto de que la policía estuviera más a favor de ellos y nosotros que somos las víctimas, porque ellos fueron a hacer un servicio y no lo quisieron pagar. Ellos sabían el proceso y es un modo de operar de ellos, de que piden el servicio, saben que no se puede cancelar porque el servicio es express y lo que hacen es molestarse y no cooperan con nosotros que somos los que estamos trabajando honradamente.
My concern is the fact that the police was on helping them rather than us, the victim. And we provided a service to them. We expected to get payment for that. This is probably a modus operandi of these people who already know how MoneyGram works, that once it's sent, we're unable to cancel. And our concern is we think the police should be on as well, helping us, not the criminals. And we wanted to make it public.
Thank you. That's it? So you can wait. They're going to have a discussion with you outside in the hallway.
Thank you. And just for the record, my name is Veronica De Leon, and 669 Chambers Street as well. And also, we know that in the future, we can also seek assistance with internal affairs for the police department.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Walter Mason.
How you doing? My name Walter Mason, 44 Pennsylvania Avenue. I own a company in Trenton, Terrell Street Redevelopment LLC and GLC Management LLC. And they made me put an application in last year, no, matter of fact, December 27th of 23 to register my company as a redeveloper. I've been coming here trying to get its properties next to my property. They're tearing my property up. And I just be coming here and they keep telling me to come back every week. But my whole objective is to create housing for people that can't really afford it. So that's basically all I really have to say. I don't want to say too much, but I just need you guys' assistance on that. If y'all can help me with these properties that Trenton owns.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mason. Thanks.
Lewis Brady.
Good evening. Louis Brady, 618 Franklin Street. I have been on the phone with the Department of Public Works, with the street cleaning, back and forth. And I understand they only have one street cleaner available. And then I'm hearing that now, on the days that we have the street cleaning on Thursdays and Mondays, they're only coming one day out of the week, which is on a Monday, but they haven't been down on a Monday and on Thursday. We have to move our car back and all the neighbors are complaining that they're not coming down our street, which they are supposed to come down on Monday and Thursday on the one side, on Tuesdays and Fridays on the other. They have not come down on our street this past week and last week. I don't know what's going on. I understand they only have one sweeper available. Out of 4 sweepers, they only have one. I understand they break down, maintenance and everything. But come on, you have to let us know that you're coming down because people are tired of moving their cars back and forth from one side to the other. And they're asking me, I said, I'll find out from the council, see what they say, and I'll call the city again, but I'm not getting anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brady.
Victor Irizarry.
Good evening, Victor Irizarry, 19 Moreland Avenue. My concern again is, I'm keeping up with the local politics, and I understand now that the official language for America is English, and to me, again, that's a squeeze play on, particularly since I'm a Puerto Rican American on a Puerto Rican community, where it's going to provide, it's a continuation of the crime in Trenton, New Jersey that's affected, which originally started with African Americans, and then we, the Puerto Ricans, have mixed with the African American communities, and it's affecting us both. And I understand that Trenton has an issue with policing, where, like I said before, maybe 3 months ago, some officers do not like, the job is a job. So I remember one time there was a Puerto Rican resident that was, as soon as he saw a Puerto Rican male, he would encourage that individual to become a police officer. And some, not only, I'm not saying that some Puerto Ricans are not qualified, I'm saying that some police officers, regardless of race, are not qualified. And I have this book here by Police in the Future by David H. Bailey. It says that the myth of the policing, just to read right quick something, it says the police do not prevent crime. This is one of the last kept secrets of the modern life. Experts know it. The police know it, but the public does not know it. Yet the police pretend that they are society's best defense against crime and continually argue that if they are given more resources, especially personnel, they will be able to protect communities against crime. This is a myth. All right, this is a study. Okay, this is a study. It's like a theory, but it's a theory that's been going on since policing became modern, and I believe it was written by the Bobby Boys or something like that. They brought up policing to a point where police abuse was not necessary, like back in olden days. And I'm taking that as reality. And then there was another, along with the same study, that sometimes in the future it may be possible that we no longer need police in our communities. But to make that happen, then of course, the resources should be available for social programs and education and so forth. As Mr. Jeff Brown states that the Cannabis Commission is the executive director and the agency has no control over where the money goes, but collects recommendations from the public to deliver to the governor and legislature. He said the hearings are crucial in deciding where and how state officials will invest cannabis revenues. Cannabis has brought in $62 million in total tax revenue since 2022, and that's according to the tax then. Now they're trying to raise the tax up. There's another 3.1 added to that, but the social equity fee is set aside in a fund that can be used for legal services, apprenticeships, financial assistance, workforce development, and other programs. Now, this is the part. The state shares some information on where the cannabis revenue funds have gone, and it's gone to specifically anti-violence groups and cannabis training academies are among the recipients, but there isn't an accessible breakdown of where all the money goes. Now, I understand that the money has to go somewhere, and I believe it's the city's fiscal official, financial officer supposed to take care of that, and who is that, I don't know, and how, like you was asking before, ma'am, excuse me, by pointing that where, if the money's coming in, where is it allocated to and how it's being spent? And if that's the case, and earlier, Ms. Edwards was saying, asking the doctor about the social programs, that it seems to me that dogs are more important than homeless people and how social programs are being handled here in Trenton, New Jersey. I've been here like 3 or 4 times, and then the dogs are more important from, Columbus, back to Trenton, or wherever else that you got to go. And instead of people having a place to go that's comfortable for them and feel that they're not being, will be abused or disrespected in these so-called rehabilitation homes. My thing is that I would like to know where the money is coming to in Trenton, so maybe as Ms. Edwards now is promoting the CCCR board, that I may be able to help in some kind of way. Thank you very much. That's my comment.
Thank you so much, Mr. Azari.
Marco Cherry.
Merkle Cherry, 2nd Street, Trenton, New Jersey. Good evening, Council President, Council Vice President, and Council members. I just want to bring something to your attention that you may or may not be aware of. In the last week and a half, twice I've had to reach out to PSE&G to ask them not to move my utility service to one of the third-party service providers. I'm not sure what the criteria is for PSE&G when they moved it. When I've spoken to them, they've told me that these in this industry is not regulated, that they don't have a choice, that they give them information and basically say, move the service, and they move it. Now, I was notified, got about 6 or 7 letters from both the two third-party vendors. I don't know either one. One was Median and the other one was Vista. And my concern is that they may be doing this. I mean, I happen to be still relatively cognitively aware of things. But if they're doing this with senior citizens, other individuals who may not be paying attention, that's a problem. And I don't know if council has any purview over these vendors. I'm not sure if they're regulated by whom. I'm not sure if they are regulated. But I would ask that you look into what's happening. Again, when I've inquired of PSNG, they've said, well, they provide us a number. Now, I know that no one in my household has given permission to any third-party service provider to transfer my service to them. And it may be a good thing, but you shouldn't have to opt out of this as a resident. You should be opting in if you choose to do so. So I would ask that someone take a look at whether there are any regulations or guidelines for these vendors. And if there aren't, maybe take a look at the possibility of implementing some sort of guidelines or ordinances to see if we can control it. And I would suspect that there are many citizens who's had their services switched without their knowledge, because the bill still comes from PSE&G and it looks pretty much like the bill you've been receiving from PSE&G. So if you're not aware of it, please be cognizant of this and see if there are things that we can do, because I don't want to keep either going down to PSE&G or having to reach out to them every other week to say, no, please don't move my service without my permission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cherry.
Is this Robin or last name Washington? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Robin Washington. I was here at the last meeting, and
I'm sorry, Ms. Washington, I don't mean to interrupt, and I have not started your time yet. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Okay.
Thank you.
You ready?
I am.
My name is Robin S. Washington. I live at 447 West Hanover Street.
Thank you so much.
I was here at the last meeting in regards to the city-owned vacant properties located at 444 and 446 West Hanover Street. I was waiting for someone to get back to me about those properties. I'm going to read from here so I don't miss anything. My name is Robin Washington. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Trenton. The area which I'm interested in purchasing is located across the street from my place of residence where I live. I've been trying to purchase these properties for some time now, 5 years to be exact, and have appeared before you before to plead my case last month. While I do understand home ownership as the director, Mr. Liston, has conveyed to myself, however, I also understand we need to provide affordable housing for all. Some of our residents are not ready for home ownership and are looking for safe, healthy, and sanitary housing for themselves and their families. I truly understand this as I was raising my own children and rebalancing through their lives that housing here in the city of Trenton is not suitable for all. And we as residents who have the ability to have this opportunity should be afforded the prospects. I have been in conversation with all staff over the last 5 years in housing and economic development and come up to closed doors, and I want to know why. I'm proposing to build new with parking attached to the development so that we have mitigated those issues, and we'll be working with a civil engineer and architect to support this development. I am not the one who will build and leave. I am here to protect my investment as I live directly across the street from what I am proposing. I am pleading with the council to allow this hill to be transferred from the city to myself so that I can get to work to develop this housing model. I ask again, why not me? We have a development that is about to take place at the corner of West State Street. I was one of the residents who was invited to attend the meeting and am encouraging this development. The difference is that I am a resident and these developers do not live here. This is a plus for the city as it shows that we are able to provide space for good, sound development for all. I was here earlier today and got a copy of this resolution from 25-028, which was listed on the last meeting agenda in regards to the goal now for the city is affordable housing. But there's still people, as I said earlier, who need housing, who don't want to buy a house, who can't afford to go into a house. And with folks getting laid off every day around the country, you know, lease might be the best option. I invite you all out to see where I am speaking so you can see where my home is in reference to what I'm proposing, directly across the street, the 2 vacant lots. Again, I ask that you grant this opportunity for residents like myself to be able to show that we are able to develop our city along with the other development taking place. As I said in the previous meeting, I've been trying to do this since September of 2019. I provided a copy for the Councilwoman Gonzalez today, but I provided copies of the same thing at the last meeting for the other council members. And I'm just trying to figure out, over the last 5 years that I've been coming down here consistently, each time I'm told a different thing. Oh, this is going to be voted on, this is going to be voted on, and here today, you know, I come down and I get a copy of this resolution that now is something else. And the only thing that I want to do is to help build my community where I live, where my children grew up, and where I have retired and I'm still living in the area. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And please, can somebody just give me an answer?
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
Is this Aparna? Is that Chowdhury? Thank you.
You need me to state my name and address, right?
Yes.
Ms. Aparna Chowdhury, 946 Greenwood Avenue.
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, I wanted to mention how much I support the efforts to have a CCRB here for police, all the efforts of reforms, all the protesting. It actually had a result here, which is so nice to see. I'm sorry I couldn't make the meeting the other day, but it's really nice to see that. I think licensure is so important for police so that they're held to the same standards other professions are. As a teacher, I have to report even when I get mild tickets. So it's really nice to see that kind of progress actually happen here, and we hope that it, you know, actually takes root and, you know, some improvement can happen. I also agree with making some of our resident-facing, what should I call them, things on our website more robust. People talked about that and having like better communication. But the main reason I came here is because I cannot agree more with Ms. Washington. It is so difficult to supposedly access all these houses that Trenton keeps claiming that they are trying to get investors to come and purchase. And I can give you example after example after example, but I'm trying to remain calm. I brought an application here. If I can give it to the council members, I didn't make copies. This is an application with names and addresses redacted. This came from someone I know who has real estate experience, has a real estate license, Trenton born, Trenton raised, and turned this application in. Can I give it to you guys? But this person is more than qualified, more than interested, has Trenton's best interests in mind, turned in the application a couple of years ago. It sat for 6 months. After he chased down a response, he was told that it was, quote, backlogged. I think Ms. Washington's experience, her frustration, I can't imagine the position she's in. I am not a Trenton resident, but I do have real estate here. I think that I'm so frustrated at the lack of urgency, the lack of alacrity with whatever is happening in these, quote, real estate offices. Someone here last time, I think Mr. Charles, or it might have been Miss Washington, but someone mentioned how hard it is to get through to Daniel Roach's office. You can't get a call back. You can't get an email back. I would like Daniel Roach to send me personally, and I will send him my contact information, a list of all these, quote, available properties. I do think they should, of course, go to Trenton residents first, but something is keeping it from happening. There's some kind of blockage. There's some kind of red tape. And the thing that disturbs me most about that is because I think there's a lot of insidious manners in which racism occurs. And I think in the value of housing and the ability to gain housing is one of them. Redlining, inabilities to gain loans, all these these and other factors have held back people from being able to grow their own properties, their own neighborhoods. And when people are being kept from obtaining these properties, I feel like something else is happening here. I don't know what corruption is happening. I don't understand the reasons that qualified people can't get their applications through. I have at least 6 people I know that have tried to obtain these houses. If Trenton really cares about this blight and constantly complains that they're trying to get investors in, why haven't any of these applications moved forward? The other thing I wanted to mention is, correct me on my statistics if I'm incorrect. My understanding is there's about 30,000 households in Trenton. 15,000 of them are rentals from landlords. My suggestion to you is to start charging landlords more. I'm a Trenton landlord. If there's any landlord out there who cannot pay a small amount more to be able to rent in Trenton, I think they're lying to you. I would suggest if you have 15,000 households that are landlord-owned households, that you charge them an extra $100 on their application fee or on their landlord license. It costs about $140, depending how many units someone has, to get that landlord license. I would suggest you add $100. I think this is a situation. First of all, I think landlords should be responsible for this. Secondly, I don't feel that landlords. It's a rare situation to me where you get benefit all around. The residents benefit, Trenton benefits, and the landlords will benefit because the neighborhoods get a little nicer. And I would suggest that's $1.5 million every 12 months with a $100 additional charge. That $1.5 million can be used to clean these properties. And the other thing I would encourage you to do is start finding landlords. My neighboring landlords have a shed that's falling down. Their roof is going to collapse into my roof. Their basement is a mess. It's attracting rodents and insects. And I've reported it multiple times and nothing's happened. I can't reach my neighboring landlord because his number is an LLC. It keeps going to some voicemail. You need to start finding the landlords. It'll benefit Trenton. And I think it'll deal with at least one of the residential problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Childer.
I have pictures of my neighboring landlord's property if anybody wants.
She's 946. Ms. Chaudhry, if you don't mind repeating the address that has the roof, your neighboring property that you said? 944. Thank you.
On your call, Madam President.
Is that it? Oh, thank you. We can move on to civic comment.
Certainly. Start with any individual you wish.
Yes, we can go, Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. Just first, before I have some announcements, just want to say Mr. Mason is not here, but I will be visiting him to find out more about the issues he's mentioned. Mr. Cherry, I'd like to catch up with you after the meeting to learn more about this, particularly if you've been able to reach out to Board of Public Utilities, because this is something that we have to worry about. There's been recent stories about PSE&G announcing rate increases for the early summer. So we'd like to get on top of this. So thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. And then also, Ms. Chowdhury, thank you for bringing that up. I have heard complaints about folks trying to reach Mr. Roach's office, that it is very difficult. So thank you for bringing those up. But also regarding home ownership rate, as of the 2020 United States Census, it's only 39% in the city, whereas roughly in 2000 it was 55%. So we have a lot of catching up to do. Thanks. So I have some announcements. The next North Ward Citizens Police Advisory Council meeting will be on Wednesday, March 19th at 5:30 at Galilee Baptist Church, 440 MLK Boulevard. Please join us if you can. Also, I want to thank Business Administrator Maria Richardson, Interim Director for Natural Resources, Recreation, and Culture, Mr. Paul Harris for their work and out of their departments, particularly Natural Resources, Shade Tree, for trimming all of the trees on MLK Junior Boulevard. I know I mentioned this before, but recently we've been able to complete everything from MLK, where it connects to Princeton Avenue, all the way up to North Olden. So if you go up, you'll see the trees trimmed. It looks so much better. It's safer, particularly at night, to get the street light to come down. So again, thank you so much for making that happen. This has been a rough winter for Public Works also. So thank you also. And the Water Department with many broken mains. I know you get a lot of calls, but thank you for being there for us. It's important. Thirdly, there's been, I noticed, an increase in graffiti. We talked about this at the CPAC meeting. We're very fortunate Mr. Director Onetary joined us. So what we need to do, if you see graffiti, particularly on public property, roadways, streetlights, please call them into our Public Works Department at 609-989-3175. That's 609-989-3175. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about privately owned property that has graffiti, but we can definitely try to send a graffiti blasting team out to either try to remove or paint over graffiti. Some of it is vulgar, some of it, is whatever it is, but we need to make sure we get ahead of this because it's gotten worse during this winter time. And we're all in this together. Finally, this Friday, this is a happy announcement. We'll be having a St. Patrick's Day flag raising on Ireland for St. Patrick's Day. I want to thank Mayor Gusiora, B.A. Richardson, Mr. Beach, and Mr. Harris for putting this together. It'll be at 4:30 this Friday afternoon to honor the holiday for St. Patrick's Day, but also to honor a Trentonian who will be the Grand Marshal for the St. Patrick's Day Parade, which is actually in Hamilton since they absconded with our parade. But that's my only political statement of the night. This will be honoring the gentleman named Todd Faulkner. He is the heart and soul behind Trenton's iconic Tiernanog establishment, if you've ever been there in the past. And he, of course, as I mentioned, will be the 2025 Grand Marshal of the parade. I am told we will have a bagpiper, so if you like to hear bagpipes, please join us around 4:15, 4:30 on Friday afternoon here on the city steps. So God bless everybody. Have a great week, and I hope that you can come back to our next meeting. And congratulations again to Director. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Harrison.
I'd like to congratulate the director for all his hard work. He's been getting, like I said, cat and dog food out in the community. Him and Ruth Carter are actually helping people with clothing drives, so thank you so much. Thank you, Director Semple, for Pierce Ave getting that fire hydrant. Somebody had backed into it and destroyed it. So thank you so much. And that's about it. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everybody.
Thank you, Councilman Harrison. Councilwoman Frisbee is on Zoom, I believe. Mr. Garcia.
Yes, one moment. We'll ask her to unmute. Councilwoman Frisbee. This does take a moment. Councilwoman Frisbee, are you able to turn on your microphone? We'll need you to unmute yourself for civic comment. Aha.
Oh, yeah, she's on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. So good evening, everyone. I did want to have civic comment. There were a couple of things that I wanted to address. One of the items was there was a lot of discussion in the community in the last couple of days regarding the removal of a Brinson signage in the community in response to a arrest that was made. I wanted to make sure that the community knows that their sign was removed, but it was not because of the arrest. That sign was due to be removed years ago, and it was not in honoring the son. That sign was put up to honor the father and the mother. And so that's why that sign was up there. But the sign was only supposed to be up for 1 year. And it was up there for far longer than that. But the sign has since been removed. But I want to make sure that everyone understands it was not because of the arrest. It was simply because it was supposed to have been removed years ago. And we are not dishonoring the memory of Mr. and Mrs. Brinson. That's that comment. I also wanted to say happy Women's History Month to everyone. And also, there's a lot, the City Hall has done an incredible display they did downstairs. I hope folks will come by and take a look at that. There was one other comment. I'm not telling folks, we know that we are in the midst of a gubernatorial election. I would ask that you folks, that everyone would pay attention to what is going on. There was a comment, and I will not say who made the comment, a couple of weeks, about 2 weeks back, that someone was talking about taking the water out of the city of Trenton, and that it will be better taken care of once that person becomes governor. I ask people be diligent in paying attention to who you are voting for. Make sure you do your homework. Make sure you do your history. If she's saying that she's going to take it out of the city of Trenton once that person becomes governor, I need you to make sure that you are paying attention to that and vote. So for people who are trying to make sure that we keep what belongs in Trenton actually stays here in the city of Trenton. With that, I am done, and I wish everybody a good evening. Congratulations once again to Director Minicapelli. You are well deserving of that position, and the city is building a really strong team. I'm loving the directors and how they are working together, and so I'm excited about that, and I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Frisbee. Councilwoman Figueroa-Kettberg.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to make this brief. You see, I'm not in the camera by myself. Basically, I just wanted to thank all supporters. I know that, we had an election November 5th. We had a runoff on December 3rd. A recount was ordered. Results were given on December 30th, and yet I was still taken to court. But we prevailed yesterday for my seat for council. So I just want to thank all the supporters as I continue to serve as your councilwoman in the South Ward. Audrey, I just wanted to say, I just applaud you for standing up and stating on the record how, homeowners need to be held accountable. I'm all for that. Thank you for that. And as we try to work together to move the city forward to, better who our homeowners are, and we, have better situations for tenants and the like. With regards to Mr. Brady, I just want to say I did have a meeting on the 19th with the Director of Public Works and supervisors with regard specifically to the street sweeping situation. I understand your frustrations of us having one street sweeper. To my knowledge, what I was informed of, there's one that was kind of broken down. That one has been put in the shop. The council did approve additional street sweepers, which should be on the road, as I'm being told, this month. Anytime that I have left, is Mr. Onateri present tonight?
Yes.
If Ms. Onateri could please just come forward and just give a quick briefing about the situation in the South Ward with the street sweepers as it was explained to me in the meeting. For Mr.
How much? 2 minutes left. All right, so you're deferring your last 2 minutes to Mr. Onateri. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. 2 minutes, Mr. Onateri.
Oh, okay. Good evening, Council President, Council. The complaints about the sweepers, yes, we've had it, but we have 3 sweepers as of today. We have 3 sweepers in the city, and we're expecting 2 more by Friday, the 2 new ones. We ordered for the past 2 years. We're just getting it this Friday. This is just completely beyond our control with what we have. And like the gentleman said, yes, sometimes sweepers do break down. And one of the reasons I would say is that we try to cover the whole city with what we have. We have no choice but to try to shovel all these sweepers around. But in the next 1 week, everything will be back to normal.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilwoman Feliciano.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out and joining us here on tonight. Happy Women's History Month to all the women in the city of Trenton and beyond. Happy Women's History Month to my council colleagues here. Certainly, I would say that we are a bunch of interesting trendsetters in our own right, in our own way. So shout out to each and every one of you and to the phenomenal women that are employed in the city of Trenton. We appreciate you and everything. I also want to shout out Trenton High School senior Johnny Edwards, who won this year's 2025 Boys and Girls Club of Mercer County Youth of the Year competition on Friday. So he gets to go on to the state competition and compete for funding for his educational development. Just want to bring to everybody's attention, those may know, may not know, may pay attention or not. People, especially around, the island area, in other parts, I'm sure, but on the island area, cars are being broken into, items are being taken out, cars are being routed through. So I encourage everyone in the city, wherever you live, just watch what you leave in your cars. Please make sure you lock your car doors, day or night, right? I know a lot of times you might just get out and want to throw your jacket or leave something in the car, which you may not pay attention to, someone else may be paying attention to. So let us not make ourselves targets where we don't need to be. Just make sure you take your stuff out of the car. When it comes to, congratulations again, Dr. Menicapelli. Looking forward to great things happening. So thank you for that. Excuse me. I would like to say too, I've been asking some questions when it comes to the Trenton Waterworks and just different things that are happening with that. I did ask for some statistics about the annual revenue over a spread of time, just so we could see the numbers over a period of time of what the asset does bring into the city. I've also asked for several contracts about a certain vendor that has done work in the city that I'm still waiting for that as well. So I'm waiting for those two items. I have questions about what's happening with the intake system, the current status, dealing with that, where we are, what's going to happen. I know that DEP required the waterworks to do certain things, but then DCA didn't allow certain things to happen. So there's a concern about that. So basically what it comes down to is this. As you all know, the idea has been put out there that we make a municipal utility authority with other municipalities that want parts with Trenton Waterworks, and I am not with us just giving up without looking and exercising all avenues possible. So I am looking into that. I'm also looking into different contracts with other towns that we actually have, or with other water suppliers that actually are getting their water from Trenton Waterworks and supplying it to those municipalities. So there's different things that we want to look into and want to see if there's any debts owed by any other municipalities. Looking into, there's a certain municipality where I was told that Peosha was in there. They got a couple of fines for water issues, about $62,000 each. So it's not all Trenton Waterworks that's having a problem. And I know they said $660 million over 10 years. I just think that we need just to look a little bit closer into everything and exercise our ability to investigate just a little bit more, so that when we do have to make a final decision, whenever that decision comes, we will be equipped to do that. I'm not saying that it's not something that may have to happen. I don't know the answer to that. But what I am saying is that I am not a fan of giving up the waterworks without a fight. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Councilwoman Feliciano. Council Vice President.
Thank you, Council President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. I want to first start off by saying congratulations to Dr. Menicapelli on your appointment today. And I also want to say thank you, because about a month ago, I had sent a request for a detailed report or response to a series of questions, and you answered them very, very thoroughly. I recently forwarded it to the city council this evening after I had received the response. And I definitely appreciate all of your efforts and what you're doing with the Health and Human Services Department, and specifically the animal shelter. I want to say thank you to Director Wes Bridges and our City Council Attorney, Mr. Kaloji, for obliging my request, or I guess paying attention to the matter of which I was reaching out about with Trenton Waterworks, and entertaining my ideas about what we can possibly do. Like I'm in the process of researching exactly what our roles are as City Council, being the governing body of Trenton Waterworks, and also some options in which, the city of Trenton can pursue, and what that could mean for us. So I did introduce to them in conversation about the possibility of forming an authority in the way that Trenton Housing Authority is, having its own bonding power, having its own board and things with different appointments by different entities, and that being able to free up our bonding power with the city, and giving us the opportunity to divert that bonding power to other things, say as our housing stock that multiple people always have mentioned at our meetings. We do have a large stock of abandoned and dilapidated properties that we're not collecting taxes from, we're not collecting water or sewer revenue from, and we could be putting more efforts towards that if we didn't have to put so much bonding power behind the Trenton Waterworks utility. That's going to require upwards of more than $500 million in infrastructure repairs to bring it up to par. So I'm interested in following up with the administration and with the mayor, as I understand that the mayors of the service municipality, along with our mayor and the DEP commissioner, recently met last week on the 26th. So I'm looking forward to some updates and some better understanding. And I also understand there was conversations about putting out a RFQ, a request for qualifications, is that what the Q stands for? To hire a law firm that specializes in analyzing things like Trenton Waterworks, with analyzing the creation of it, its history, how did it come to be, what the formation is, and what roles the administration plays in that, and what roles the governing body of City Council plays into that, and up to its current state of being. And also, I have requested a fiscal analysis to be done to see how Trenton Waterworks affects our general operating budget. They do operate on their own budget, but by state statute, the city gets 2% or up to 2% of the profits or surplus from Trenton Waterworks for its general operating budget. So if we were to form an authority, how would that affect us, and can we still receive up to that 2% or the 2%? So I want to say thank you again. I want to say thank you to all of those that had came out to my recent public safety community meetings. This is a 6-month series that I failed to mention at the last couple of council meetings, as we only get 5 minutes, so I'll try to roll through as quickly as possible. So I dropped the ball on that, but I want to say thank you for those that attended, and I'm looking forward to the next one. We are going to be partnering with the Board of Education. I'm looking forward to partnering with several of my council colleagues as I rotate around the city to educate the community on what a civilian complaint review board is. Thank you, Ms. Chowdhury, for your comments earlier. I do believe that the city needs this civilian complaint review board. This not only provides oversight for the police department, but it provides a safe space for our residents to come together and to be able to help one another out when injustices happen, because they do happen and they have happened. So I'm also, on that note, I'm excited to start the Police Civilian Academy tomorrow. There is a weekly Wednesday night, and that's going to be added on to my plate because I already go to classes 2 nights a week, but I'm looking forward to it and to learn more about our police department, and that would be helpful for me as we discuss these civilian complaint review boards. It'll be helpful for me to have more insight into the police department, and so that we can foster better collaboration in the community. Is that my time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Really quick, I know, Councilwoman Williams, you had a quick announcement, like quick, super fast. Go.
We have many Ukrainians living in North Trenton. I just wanted to make sure that they know that we support them. And as is often said, if you see a blue and yellow flag, Slava Ukraini, which means glory to Ukraine in these times.
Thank you. So I'll be quick. Congratulations to Director Diego. We are excited to have you on board officially. I'm looking forward to filling the other intern positions as soon as possible. Also, shout out to Trenton High's basketball team. I know they lost the state game yesterday, but they went all the way to the second round, so we want to shout them out. As mentioned earlier, for Women's History Month, Happy Women's History Month, we are showcasing our beautiful sorority, Councilwoman Feliciano and myself, of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated downstairs in the atrium. So please come by and look at that throughout the month of March. Congratulations to our Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg on her new addition to her family. He looks adorable. I see him on the camera, so congratulations to her. As far as the street sweepers, it is unfair that people are getting ticketed when they're not coming down the street. So I would really, really wish that we can collaborate with the two departments and possibly not ticket people if the street sweepers are not coming down the streets. I understand we only have the one, or what, they're supposed to be working ones, but it just doesn't make sense. It's really frustrating to everyone that people are getting ticketed when those are not coming down the street. So it'd be great to see a collaboration between the two departments. As far as the HED department and buying properties, I truly understand your frustration. As it's been a process. I will say that we do know that there is a backlog, right? But I can say for certain that we just hired, if I'm not mistaken, we have a real estate attorney now who is trying to tackle as much of that as possible. I know she's only been on for probably like 2 weeks, I think, maybe, right? Like 2 weeks. So she is trying to, and I'm only saying that because I had the conversation today because of the frustration that you all are feeling. And so just to find out that she is trying to move that backlog down as much as possible. So please be patient. I know it's a lot, and the whole goal is for us to have our own residents purchase these properties. We don't want outsiders coming in who are going to become slumlords. So that is the goal. So I understand. I believe it was Ms. Washington and Ms. Chaudhry and Mr. Mason who spoke upon that. And just real quick, make sure I didn't. Just an update as far as rent stabilization. I know January they had a meet and greet. February they had the attorney Tabitha Clark come in from Central New Jersey Legal Services to train them. And March will be the first time that they actually sit and hear some cases. So I want to acknowledge Stephanie Register, who was taking the lead on the rent stabilization board. Looking forward to our residents having some of these cases heard and some solutions for them as well. Just a quick announcement, community conversations that is held by the police department, along with the Trenton South Ward Neighborhood Association, Loud Deaf, and myself, who will be at the Boys and Girls Club on March 11th, providing some insight and knowing your rights and certain things to do. Also, I know the mayor did announce a city stat program that we will begin shortly. So hopefully that date will come soon where our residents can talk directly to our directors and get some solutions a little bit quicker. I believe that's all I have for tonight. I hope that's what I have. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
And Madam President, if that is everything, I believe we've reached the end of our agenda this evening. If you would like to, you could ask for a motion to adjourn.
May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Roll call, Vice President Edwards.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feliciano. Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg.
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee. Gonna hope that was a yes.
Yes. Even if it's not.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
And Council President Gonzalez.
Yes.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you so much.